So I've been thinking about spiritual experiences because these are a really important part of experiencing Mormonism. I assume they're an important part of experiencing a lot of other mainstream religions. But in Mormonism, as missionaries, we would go out and teach someone and tell them to read the Book of Mormon and then pray for an answer about whether the Book of Mormon was true. And if they felt like basically anything after that, or even if they felt nothing, that would be evidence that the thing was true. Then from within the church, we would take spiritual experiences like synchronicities or fantastic things that happen or really loving connected moments between people. And we would brand all of those with the church's logo and be like, look at that. It's an evidence that the church is true. This is a spiritual experience given to you from God to show you that you're on the right track by being Mormon. But when I was in my deconstruction, I noticed that my spiritual experiences never stopped. In fact, they actually kind of amplified as I went through my deconstruction. And there was one moment in particular, one chapter of my deconstruction in particular, that was really interesting in this respect. On this particular day, we had gone to the beach where I would talk to my husband and tell him all of the things that I had learned that day. And I was in a moment where I was doubting the existence of God at all because it just seemed so wildly unlikely that any kind of ethical deity would allow his name to be used in support of the Mormon Church. That said, I went into the water after we had this discussion and I lost my sunglasses. And I searched for them for like a half an hour, couldn't find them, and then I was like, why don't I pray about it? Because this is what I would have done as my Mormon self. Maybe I shouldn't reject that option just because I'm going through a deconstruction. This is an important testing point. So I prayed about it and then I went back into the water and voila, I found my glasses. And as this happened, I could feel the gears start turning in my head that went through the dominoes of like, oh my gosh, this prayer was answered. So God is real. So Jesus is leading the church. So I have to believe in modern prophets. So I should just discard all of this research and reading that I've done, etc. And as I'm feeling this happening, I'm having to slow myself down and say, hold on though. Did this experience of finding my sunglasses justify that level of belief? And for me, that answer was no, because finding my sunglasses was important to me at that moment, but it also didn't justify discarding everything else that I had learned and felt very spiritually prompted, guided through, and confirmed in the course of my deconstruction. And this got me thinking about the value of spiritual experiences and what the limits of spiritual experiences are. Because I think spiritual experiences are a really beautiful and important part of our overall human experience, but they're not necessarily leading us to the conclusions that churches say they are.